What is the idea of a home?
My idea of a home is somewhere where I can come back to that's safe, that's warm, it's comfortable, that I know that it's my own space and nobody can take me out of it. It's where I want to be.
The idea of home to me is where family is and where you know you're safe.
Home is somewhere safe, warm, loving.
So home to me is being your parents, and that's home to me.
I'm a volunteer and I work with Bradford Nightstop, and what I do is I offer a bed. I've got a bedroom upstairs with a spare bed in it, and a young person will come here, I'll give them a meal, they can have a bath, I wash the clothes for them if they want me to wash them, they can have a nice soak and relax, but they've got their own space, that's their room for the night, they've got a bit of safety. Bradford Nightstop do a lot to help hands-on when there's nothing else available. If there's no hostels available or there's no places for them to go, there is emergency accommodation, and that's what we do.
Before I left home, how I felt about homeless people is I thought they all went to a shelter at night time. I didn't know they slept on the streets. All the people I thought were people who were begging in town, I thought they were homeless, and like at night time they all slept in a shelter place.
I thought they were all no good druggies, tramps and that. I just walked past them, ignored them.
I didn't really think much of them at all. Didn't took no notice really. Didn't really think of how they got there, and thought that maybe that's not going to be. I'm never going to be like that.
I think there's lots and lots of reasons why young people become homeless, but one that I've come across more often than not is young people that have difficulties at home. Usually they've sort of got involved with the peers, and the peers are expecting them to get involved in things that maybe they shouldn't be doing, and the families get exasperated, and parents and other people can't cope. And the very last resort is usually where the family said, I can't cope anymore, out you go.
I became homeless because my mum kicked me out when I was 16 because I didn't get on with a boyfriend and she chose him over me.
I come homeless because family problems at home. I didn't want to listen to my parents, so I thought I'd go live stay at friends' houses, but end up on the streets.
I was kicked out at 16, break up with my parents.
When I left home I thought it'd be cushioned, that I thought I'd be alright by myself, better off, but I wasn't.
I thought that I'd be in a sheltered place with all homeless people, but it wasn't like that. I was sleeping in doorways and stuff like that.
I felt shocked, even almost to the extent of close to suicide. It felt, no, not me kind of thing. This isn't happening, it's going to be over in a couple of days, but it wasn't.
And all the time I've been doing this, I've never met one bad person. They're all young kids who've just fallen on difficult times, and it doesn't take a lot to end up in that place. You just need to have a series of events to happen to you. Fall out with your family, you've got no job. You can't get a flat because you've got no job, but you can't get a job because you've got no flat. It's just so easy for that to happen to them. And it's not that they're bad people, they're just your average kid. try not to put yourself in this position because it's not a nice one. It might look exciting before you get into it, but when you're in it, it's far from exciting. It's very, very frightening.
First I stayed in this doorway. I've slept on the streets. And I've seen some rough people about. They look like thugs and that, like they were out to hurt people. I didn't want to be, around them kind of people. Social services got a flat for me. I stayed there for about 3 months before I had to leave. I had to leave because I was letting bad people in that shouldn't have been in there, and they'd like been in causing trouble and that. But I was mates with them, and I didn't know they were bad at the time, and I was letting them in and out. At that time I ended up in a car, sleeping in the dumped car.
I was sleeping in doorways and stuff like that. Interchanges, mainly in town centres. I've been beaten, kicked, got into gangs when I've got into drugs and prostitution. Early on, yes. So some drunken people started beating me, trying to tap me, kiss me, and I thought I can't take that anymore.
I was out on the streets for a while. I was doing my GCSEs at the time, and I knew that it's an important part of your life, the GCSEs, and that I needed to be focused on the GCSEs to get a decent grade or a pass grade. I stayed with my nan for a while. When she found out what had happened, she had asked me to stay with her, and I did. And then my nan was moving from a 3-bedroom into a 1-bedroom, and she offered me to stay with her, but I mean sleeping on the couch. And this is when I really thought to myself, I need to get myself sorted. I need a place on my own, because there were no chance of going back home with my parents. The breakup had been too bad.
They end up sleeping with friends or home in sort of like the friends' houses and sleeping on the floors, and that runs out. So the next best thing is try and get into somewhere like a hostel. But because there's so many people wanting places in hostels and not enough places available, quite often people end up on the streets, and then they end up in shelters, or they end up sleeping sort of rough in flats in parks. Get as much support and as help as you can. And people like Nightstop, even if you can't get somewhere permanent for a time, there's Nightstoppers around, and people like myself will offer you somewhere safe for one night, and maybe the next night you can have another night. So that it's not all doom and gloom, it's not all end of the road.
Well, I've been to council to put my name on council list, and because of my past for my drug and my prostitute act, where I was working in that, they won't give me a tenancy. They said that I needed a supported tenancy, and I've been on the list for about 3 months, and they still won't give me it. I was said that I'm too high risk, high risk because of my past life. So I'm living with friends all over the place, really.
I heard of MAST, the housing support group. A friend that had told me of MAST, and then I'd got the phone number, had an interview with him, and basically explained what had happened, put on a waiting list, which while I was on the waiting list I was staying with my nan, and then I got my flat on my own. Problems could I would say have been getting used to being at home by yourself without no one else being around. The security is a big difference being all on your own without mum, dad, brother, sister, whoever, your friends being around. I'd say my health was very bad. Learning to do all the things, cooking, cleaning, everything that you take for granted that your parents do, and you're all trying to do them yourself. But yeah, they were fairly difficult. Sleeping I found very difficult. Sleeping in the flat that I was in, I found that very difficult to deal with. Sleeping on my own in this big home kind of thing, it wasn't nice.
I thought I had to get myself sorted when I ended up in that car. I went to City Centre Project and they put me on a night stop. And I went to this house and I stayed with this fella for the night. I stayed next night and then we sorted another flat out, council flat. The host, he was alright, he was kind and that. Fed me, let me get a bath at his house and that. I've got my own flat now. I got it through impact housing. In this one that I've got now I didn't encounter any problems really, apart from odd little ones like budgeting.
If you could do it all over again, what would you do differently?
I'd try and talk to mum about not kicking me out, about thinking about letting me stay.
I wouldn't leave home and think about it. I'd go into information shops and find about homelessness, what I can do when I could go for my age, could I?
I'd probably make my mum and dad listen to me, let them understand my points of view of life and of freedom.
Do you have the right to a home?
Yeah, I do have a right to one. Everyone's got a right to a home. Doesn't matter what they've done or anything, they've got a right to a home.
I feel that everyone has a right to a home, no matter what the age, sex, race or belief.
Yeah, of course they do. Everybody does have a right to have a home, to feel safe, to feel that that's their space where they're valued.
Yeah, I have the right to a home. Everybody has a right to a home. No one needs to be on the streets, do they?
What would you do?